This is a tutorial on how to adjust your slipper clutch on an SC10. Presented by Mr. Lange.
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Lange and I'm going to do a tutorial on how to set a slipper clutch on a remote control car. But before I show you how to do that, I want to explain the importance of why it's important to adjust a slipper clutch when you race remote control cars. And in order to do that, I need a jump. Bam! A jump. Now, you're racing your remote control car. You're in first place in the A main and you are heading up a pretty big jump. And you're coming up that jump and those rear tires are spinning very, very fast. You're getting ready to go down the other side of the jump. Those tires hit that jump. You are full throttle. You need that slipper clutch adjusted so that way those plastic gears do not get meshed up in there and get ruined. So it needs to slip just a little bit when you're coming off that jump, so that way you don't ruin your gears and your transmission. So, another reason you want to have a properly adjusted slipper clutch is you are going around a corner. And if you're going around a corner and you're heading back the other way, if your clutch is not slipping, those tires could spin out and you could start spinning out, losing first place in the A main. If you have a properly adjusted slipper clutch, you're going around the corner, and it's going to slip a little bit in the rear end in order for you to get the best traction. Okay, with that I'm going to start to actually show you how to adjust the slipper clutch. Okay, in order to adjust the slipper clutch, first of all you need certain tools. You'll need a couple different size nut drivers. You will need an Allen wrench. You'll need a properly charged battery. And you will need your remote control. With that, we're going to go ahead and take off the body, the shell it is also called, and so that way we can get to our slipper clutch. Okay, here we are, ready to get to work. Now that we have the shell off, we need to go ahead and access this area right here, the slipper clutch area. And so what I like to do first of all is take my rear tire off, and it's nice to have one of these stands so that way I can swivel the car around as I'm working on it. Makes it a lot easier. I'm going to grab a couple different tools here and take this off. It's important to have one of these clear plastic guides here, or covers, because when you're racing on a dirt track you want to protect these plastic gears. Alright, and so this one I lost the cap that goes on there, so that one's no good. That's why they have extra parts that you can purchase just to make sure that you are protecting your gears. So here is the slipper clutch area. Alright, this is what we are going to adjust. Okay, now the manufacturer says to have this out about 1/16 of an inch or so from the end. And I know that may be a little bit difficult for you to see, but it is adjusted there. I need to go ahead and put my tire back on. And now I'm going to grab my remote control. It's very important to turn your remote control on first and let it power up. Then I'm going to plug in my battery to my electronic speed controller. And I'm going to power that up as well. Now that I have both powered up, it takes a second for the speed controller to get completely loaded up. I am ready to start adjusting my slipper clutch. In order to adjust the slipper clutch, I recommend having a flat surface. Okay, now it is time to start adjusting your slipper clutch located right there. What you want to do is you want to kind of get your forearm on one tire, get a good grip of this tire when you start adjusting your slipper clutch. I'm going to take my controller and I'm going to give it some gas. You want the front tires to come off the ground about 2 to 3 inches. They did not come off the ground, so I need to go ahead and start tightening my slipper clutch. And this is just trial and error. It may take you a couple times in order to do this effectively. Once again, make sure you got a good grip. Grab your controller. Starting to lift off the ground, but not quite yet. And there we have a properly adjusted slipper clutch. You can still hear it slipping a little bit, but as mentioned, when you're coming off those jumps and you are full gas, you do not want this rear gear, which is a plastic gear. Your pinion is a metal gear. Your spur gear is plastic. You don't want to break that. And so you're coming off the jump, you're landing, you want a nicely adjusted slipper clutch. You're going around the corner, you want your clutch to slip just a little bit before it then gains full speed. And that is how you properly adjust your slipper clutch. RC racing is a lot of fun. I started racing when I was 13 years old, and man, I was hooked. A couple things, just a little extra things about the car itself. There's so many things you can do. As mentioned in the tutorial, this is an electronic speed controller. You can connect this to your laptop via a USB cable, and you have all sorts of different settings, from what's called the timing, to the burst of speed, to the turbo, to how fast you want it to go when you are going around corners, when you're actually turning. It then decreases the power to the rear tires, to all sorts of different setups. You actually have different springs that go on your shocks, from blue ones, thanks buddy, to gold ones, to silver ones. And you have these charts with different strengths of those. As you go down further, the stiffer the shock is. And when you're racing, you've got different tracks. You've got some with big jumps, some with little jumps, tight turns, wider turns. You've got to set it up. And not only do you have to set up your suspension with certain kind of springs, you also have to set it up with different weight oils. Thinner weight to thicker weight, it all makes a difference. It is a strategy, and you're always trying to get that bigger edge than your competition. Also, this is what's called a receiver. This gets information from what's called your transponder or your radio, and then it sends information to the speed controller or your servo, which turns the tires, and that's a really cool transmitter. There are different tires that you can actually set up with your car depending on what kind of track. There are really thick clay tracks. They're called blue groove tracks. There's dirt tracks, and then there's more sandy tracks. Well, you've got all sorts of different tires with different pen patterns. You can kind of see the pens that I have here. They're smaller pens to a little bit thicker pens, a little bit more aggressive pens for different track styles. You actually have different rims that you will put, or wheels that you will use for different tires and different tracks. And how we put air in our tires, we have different inserts that you put inside the tire. These tires actually have red inserts in them. There's the white ones and blue. It all makes a difference on how these cars handle given the different tracks. Now, there are outdoor tracks that some are a little bit bigger. You may need a little bit bigger boost, and so you have different batteries. This is a 5300 milliamp lithium-ion battery with a 70C, a little bit bigger punch than your 30C with the 5000 milliamp. So these batteries all are different purposes. If it's a tighter track, I may not want as much burst, and so I may use a smaller battery, the 30C. If I'm on an outdoor track where it's more wide open, I'm going to jump up to the 70C, and then there's all sorts of batteries in between. We have our electronic motors back here. You have different styles. This is what's called a 17.5. You would use this in what's called a stock class, where everybody has to use the 17.5 no matter what. And then I actually have a modified in here. This is an 8.5 turn. This motor will really go. You can use any turn less than 17.5 in the modified race. 15 and a half, 14 turn, 8.5. It goes down even further than the 8.5, but as you go down further, be prepared. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to drive. That burst of speed is going to be there. So many different strategies that you can use while racing. And so that's what I think is really cool about RC racing. It's always changing. And yes, Brennan, thank you very much for reminding me, my man. This is actually a wheel balancer. You would put your wheel on it, you would balance it, you would then put little tiny pieces of clay. I wish I had a wheel out to show you. Little tiny pieces of clay actually inside of the wheel itself to help balance that. When you're going over jumps and turning, if that wheel is flopping where it's not balanced, you don't have the proper clay in here, you're not handling as good. So there's all sorts of different cool tricks that you can use in order to do RC racing. And what a good little partner you are. I appreciate it, buddy. And so get the family together, hang out on Saturdays. There's all sorts of different racetracks around the area. And if you ever have any questions about RC racing, as you can tell, I'm an enthusiast. I could talk to you for a while about it. I really enjoy it. And that is a little bit about RC racing. If you want to pick it up, you won't have it'll be a great time. Thank you. Good job, little buddy. Good job, little buddy. Love you. Mwah.